Like, you're number two. Steve was the first one. Everything is in the wrong spot.
Oh, beautiful. Why
Here we
why
go.
would why not keep it the same?
Exactly. Corley Moore, Firehouse Vigilance, weekly scrap number 105. He is one of the linchpins of Fit to Fight Fire. Craig Stalowy started his career in the Chicago area back in 2004, eventually moving to Colorado in 2009. He is currently on a truck company in East Metro. He is the third member of Fit to Fight Fire, joining John Spear and Tom Johnson in asking that question, would you want you rescuing you? Co-author of the book, if I can pick it up, The Backstep. Dude, I'm excited to have you here to talk about it. It's a lot of what we're going to talk about today. And of course, he's a world-class instructor. He has, as well as, very humbly, but a Medal of Valor recipient. So with all of that being said, welcome my brother, Craig Stalowy, to the scrap number 105.
Thanks, man. We were kind of talking off air. I think what you're doing is helping out the fire service so much. And I do have a bit of a bone to pick with you though.
Okay.
So
Maybe.
you sent out a blast on social media, okay, with Trey Nelms, Steve Robertson, Jim McCormick, and then me. Okay, those guys have incredible mustaches.
It's true.
They're also super legit, and I looked like a baby face with those guys. So I don't feel like I should be a part of that group, but I'm happy that I am.
What's crazy is almost every person so far has said the exact same thing. So you are in very good company. Like every one of them said, I don't belong with these guys. So,
I'm more upset about the mustache because I can't grow a good one.
I understand completely, brother. Believe me. So that all being said, did I miss anything in the intro? Anything you would like to add?
No, I started everything back in Illinois and decided that for anyone who lives in Illinois, there's a reason why you moved to Colorado. So I left there in 2009, and yeah, it's just kind of been that grind to finally get to the department where you feel like you should be.
Right on, man. Right on. I love it. We got people logging in. There we come. There they come. They said, good evening, gentlemen, from Garrett Taves. Gavin Reynolds said, highly recommend the book regardless of years of service. 100% agree with that. So that being said, audience, get your questions ready. Get them ready for Craig. Get them ready for us. We're going to throw them. And I'm going to lead it off with, let's get right into the backstep. The backstep, can you define it for me and the listeners who may not understand exactly what you mean when you say it?
Totally. So the backstep's just kind of slang. Way back in the day, if you were on an engine company, you rode the tailboard or the backstep, or if you were on a ladder company, you rode the side step. So the actual position is, just the firefighters who are behind, the officer and the driver. So that's kind of what the position is. What it means is a bit more in depth. So it used to be, if you were the senior person in the station, like you were the go-to leader that didn't have any rank, right? So that's pretty much what the backstep is. It is someone who is inside the firehouse, and it very well could be the person who has the most time on, or, it could be someone who just has a few years on, but it's someone who is taken on the responsibility to be an informal leader. And it's not something that you're asked to do. It's a choice you make, and it's a choice you make every day. You don't just become one and that's it for the rest of your career. It's if you're an officer and you promote, you're a chief, you have respect for the rest of your career. It's because with those bugles, that shows people that you have the time on, you put the time in to test, and you have a certain level of knowledge, as opposed to myself. They look at me and they don't know if I'm, if I suck or if I have any skills at all. So every time I meet somebody new, every shift, I feel like I'm starting from scratch and I got to prove myself to my crew.
I love it. Love it. And the backstep. So, and I would love to say that the bugles automatically mean you know your stuff, but I understand exactly what you're saying.
Sure.
One means you've earned it, and one is earned every day. And I love that intentionality behind that. That's beautiful. So,
it's not something that I thought about for probably the first, 8 years of my career, but like everybody knows one. everybody knows that person who's been riding backwards for most of their career. They decided never to promote, and they're excuse me, no COVID. It's yeah, I mean, it's kind of that. It's kind of that special thing that like you hope that one day you can attain.
You have, and, yes.
I don't know if I have yet, but wrote a book about it.
No, 100%, and that's mainly. I'm serious. That's mainly what we're going to talk about today because I just got the copy. Mine. I'm very proud of this. Right here, mine's signed from Craig.
That's right.
So I'm very special, and but no, I you guys know me. I take a ton of notes, and I got a ton of notes, and I want to talk about this book. And there's so much I want to dig into on this book because there is one thing I love about A, mindset, and B, the Backstep, guys. This is a firefighter friendly book, man, and every firefighter should read both mindset and the Backstep because there is no fluff. There's no filler. It is meat, plain and simple. If you're a meat eater, if you're a firefighter, you need to read it. So, and I don't say that lightly.
No, I mean, there was a reason we got together and decided to write this book. And there's a lot of fire service books out there, and by page 100, you feel like you've read the same shit like 1,000 times. So we wanted to trim the fat and make it accessible. Like you see a book this big, and you're like, "Oh, I can rip through that in a little bit," and that was kind of the intent.
No, I do it, and that's the thing is I don't know if people realize it's written for firefighters, man. Like 100% men of action,
Right.
And I mean that in a great way.
Sure.
So my question's coming at you, and
Send it.
And again, guys, get your questions ready if you've read the book and bring them at us. But mine is, I have a lot of topics I want to dig into when it comes to this book. And first I want to get what pushed you to get this book out there, to write the Backstep, get it out there.
Oh, that was easy. I was on a run, and I got a call from John Sparrow, and he says, "We should write a book." And I said, "No." I was like, "I didn't even graduate college. You want me to write a book? Like that's insanity." And he's like, "Hey, here are some chapter names. Just think about them." And I had read a few of Josh Green's books and just kind of, some other leadership books that were not necessarily about the fire service. And I'm like, well, this is totally what we deal with on a regular basis. And it was pretty cathartic, to be honest with you. I mean, I kind of treated it like a journal, and eventually I had enough content to put inside the book. So honestly, it was just a drive from John saying that, there aren't a lot of books for people without rank. There's a lot of books to prepare people for promotion exams.
Yeah. Or leadership.
This is not one of those books, I don't think. But if you are a firefighter and you feel like you are disenfranchised and you feel like you don't have any control over your career, I think this is exactly what you need.
No, and you said that. I realize it now that you say that. You said it's like you wrote it like a journal, and it has that feel like you're getting a peek inside a Backstep's like day-to-day journal life. It has that feel, and I didn't realize that when I was reading it, but when you said that, I like totally identified with it.
Well, yeah, like we want action steps. I just don't want to tell you a bunch of hyperbole of my theories on how to be a non-commissioned leader. It's what can I literally do, and we spell it out in the book. When you get to work, what do you need to do? And there's a lot of other people who fill this role who don't do it the way I do, and it works for them. So, my challenge is, when you find a way that works for you, let me know.
100%, dude. And that comes
we'll add it to the next one.
Yes, that comes across so much in it. It's not like you're saying this is the only way. You must follow A, B, C.
Right.
I'm gonna catch you up because there's a lot of things people are saying. Yeah, Michael Lataki said, "Let's get it. Finally get to see one live." Welcome, Michael. We got some flexing arms. Marco Isom said, "Some of the best senior guys and gals are riding the Backstep. There is no doubt about it." Mindset was great. I need to pick up Backstep. George Robertson, absolutely. I cannot suggest it enough.
Way to go, George.
Gavin Reynolds says, "Books should be handed out to every probationary firefighter. Easy to read and so much useful knowledge." And I think that's a really good just encapsulation of it. Easy to read, tons of useful knowledge. And Andrew B. Tureen says, mindset and backstep have been a staple during my probationary period, keeping me in line, on track, and vested into the job. There's so much more along those lines. Yes.
That's awesome.
Fit to Fight Fire quotes all over our station. Love your stuff, dude. 100%,
very
man.
Cool.
Such a fan. Like, I'm a fanboy of Fit to Fight Fire so much. So you can see me smiling as I say, okay.
It's awesome, man.
First question coming at you that's not from me. It's from Tim Campbell.
Here we go, Tim.
Tim-Brittany Campbell. So I don't know which one's coming at me, but coming at you is, can you teach mindset, or is it just something you have?
No, I mean, it goes back to like, is talent innate? And obviously it's no, like there are, I mean, if you read the book, I didn't have mine. I feel like maybe I don't even have it now, but I know I didn't have it for the first, like 25 years of my life. Like it took that long to figure out that we are in complete control of that destiny. If it's to be, it's up to me. Like that really gets down to the nitty gritty of it. And inside the book, I talk about how I feel like when I was younger, I was given this role, and you don't understand that, like, you don't just have to take whatever role you're given in life. Like you can choose whatever you want to do, but no one's going to do that for you. No one's going to come knock on your door and say, hey, you know what? You should become a good firefighter and you should get in shape. Right. It's just not going to happen. No one's coming for you. It is up to you to go get some if you want to. And that has a choice you have to do every day. Like let's say you're in shape one day. You're like, all right, I made it. I got mindset, read all the books. I fit into those, size, whatever pants you feel like you should be fitting into. That shit's going away the next day if you take your foot off the gas. So it's up to you to create this life that you want. Otherwise, you're going to have a life that's been given to you. And I don't know anyone who's successful who has that.
I love it, man. Sorry, I have to write down when I get a good soundbite, and it's just 100%, dude. I love it when you start preaching already.
Sorry, I get jazzed.
Yes, Karen Ireland says, "Hi, Craig. Just signing in to watch. This is great." Richard.
Hi, Karen.
No, there's someone's tagging. Okay, sorry. There we go. All right, we're getting going. We're getting it underway. I'm loving it already. The book starts off with one of my favorite things, 100%. It's one of my personal mantras. One of my personal mantras is it all starts in the mirror. It's one of those things I tell myself all the time. And your book starts off with that, and it's leading yourself. And so and I think you just kind of just hammered the point right there, leading yourself and how important that is.
Yeah, I mean, the first part of the book is like, how can you expect anyone to follow you if you wouldn't even want to follow yourself? And that doesn't mean that you are starting this journey alone. I think one really shitty thing we do to each other is we don't give grace to the people who are on the road. Like you're at the gym and you see some overweight person and you're like, you could easily look down on that person.
Oh, yeah.
To be like, oh God, they're out of shape. What if they were 200 pounds heavier 6 months ago?
Right.
You have no idea. So I think a really important piece of this journey is realizing that we're all on one.
No doubt.
When you see someone along the road, like give them some grace, to a point. There is a point where they know better. They're making a choice to not live up to even a medium standard. Sure. And those people just need to be let go. If they know better and you've tried your best, you can't waste any more juice on them.
Rock on, dude. I love that. And the point you bring up really about the gym and seeing a wildly out of shape person at the gym, right? And this is what I'm wondering is how much of it is maturity that, because I know a younger me, I'd be at the gym saying, what the hell are you doing here wasting your time? You know what I'm saying? But Sure. Now that I'm older, I see that and I'm like, rock on, get it, man. Get on the path.
I'll tell you when it happened for me.
Yeah.
I've done a couple Ironman and I'm not fast at all. I race with some guys who are absolute studs, but when you're on that race and you're out there for 13 hours, 17 hours, you see and you meet so many people, and you see that their struggle is their struggle, and their 10 might not be your 10, but you have to appreciate the fact that they've found it,
right,
and that they're still getting after it. And I think when you start to appreciate that in other people, you start to give yourself, it's just a lot easier to reflect,
right,
and appreciate other people's struggle when, when you've gone through it yourself so many times. You can look across the room and be like, that person's at their 10. I can respect that person,
right on.
Because regardless of where they're at, like we'll get some people who roll into our station and they're completely deconditioned. They're not into the job. Have completely checked out. As long as they get in their gear and get to their 10, you're good with us. You might as well join the crew, because we just want grinders, regardless of where you're at.
No, I like that, man. I like that. And do you think it really just comes down to empathy? Like the ability to understand where someone else is coming from?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Like you see that they're trying just as hard as you are, even though you might be on third base and they're only on first.
Yeah, they're trying to get to first.
They're trying to get there.
Right.
So like, why not help them out?
No,
Or
Gavin.
at least not shit on them, like.
No, I love it. I love it. Gavin Reynolds said, "Perspective of others' reality." That is a really strong way to put it.
That's awesome.
Yes, I love it. All right, we're already getting introspective here early.
Yeah. Let's do it.
This is one of my
real
favorites.
weird by the end of this.
This is one of my favorites, man. This concept, and it runs throughout your book and already throughout this conversation, but it's the power of choice versus excuse. So go with that and tell me your journey to get to that point and hit it wherever you want to go with it.
All right, let's talk about the difference between the two. Okay. Difference between a choice and an excuse is data. Okay. So, I can't dunk a basketball. All right. Just, I don't have what it takes to physically get this situation up high enough to dunk. Okay. Those are the facts. All right. But if I were to have all those things, right? If I was tall enough and I had the athletic ability, and I was just like, I just don't feel, like my shoulder hurts. I didn't sleep real good last night, blah, blah, blah. Those are just excuses, right? There's no truth behind it. There's no data behind that. Okay. We're all tired. Okay. Sure. We all feel like shit, but we still go get after it. So I think when you realize, is this a cause? Okay. Is this because of something completely outside of my control?
Okay.
Or is this just an excuse? And I think when you can differentiate that in your own mind, I mean, there's really not much you can't do.
I love it. A big thing for me, and tell me if you relate to this or not. Okay, so I smoked. I started smoking when I was a teenager, and I smoked for a very long time in my life. And the thing that I realized is forever, my reality was I was invincible. It didn't matter that I smoked. You know what I'm saying? That was a reality. Now, it wasn't real. It was just my reality. Okay, so don't let me pretend that there's a difference. But there comes a point when you realize what is real, the truth. And it's at that point when you realize the truth that you have that choice to make. You can either accept the truth or you can make an excuse.
Well, what made you not feel like you were invincible?
I think some of it was just actual maturity and living life.
Like you saw some people who were
over and over. We make those rides where someone's on oxygen and COPD and et cetera. You can only deny that so long before. I mean, don't get me wrong. My power of self-deception is immense.
Well, it's true for all of us, because
right.
we want to see the people that we feel like we're portraying.
Right.
But in reality, is that really the case?
No, there comes a point when I don't care how strong my self-deception is, reality is stronger. You know what I mean?
I tell you what, I think that's the biggest benefit to the way that we train is you get to know yourself real well.
Ooh, that's strong.
And it takes away the man, I could do that.
Right,
we hear at the Firehouse, like, I
I'll
can turn it on when I want to.
I'll handle it day of.
Like I threw some ladders in the academy. I'm good.
Right.
All right. Well, let's get you outside and let's see what you can do. Because I know for me, there are some mornings that I can't do some things that I could the day before because of, whatever. So yeah, I think the excuses are pretty strong in our profession. But you have a choice to surround yourself with people who are on your same program, and hold you accountable.
Right.
Like, hey, let's go see where you're at today. Cause it ain't going to be the same as the last time.
No, I do love it. And then that point where choices or excuse and that reality. Valerie Marshall. I just like to scroll. Valerie Marshall Solano said, "Please tell the Oreo story." So, do we get an Oreo story?
Val. Thanks, Val.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you the Oreo story. It's in the book. Oh man, my wife hates this story. So I was always kind of like I was a thick little biscuit when I was younger, and it was kind of illustrated by the fact that I went to Catholic school for a few years, and you have to wear a uniform, right? It's navy blue slacks, and it's a white button down. Okay, so we were at Sears. Okay, I don't know if anyone out there remembers shopping at Sears, but that's where
we'll show our age. We remember.
Yeah, that's right. So my mom's taking me. We're shopping at Sears, and we're getting school clothes for the next year, and I've cultivated a little bit of mass, and I couldn't find any slacks that fit me. And damn well, mom's not going to get the waist you need tailored in third grade, right? Like, it's just not happening. So I got blue sweatpants, and I wore sweatpants to school until I could, till I got a little taller and could wear the required uniform. So that was kind of like my lot in life, I thought, like, right? Like, I was going to be the husky kid.
This is it, right?
Yeah, right. Like, I guess this is where I'm at. So fast forward, I was working at a fire department in the Chicago suburbs, and me and my officer, we were having a heated discussion about who loved Oreos more, right? Standard Firehouse conversation. Obviously, I thought I did, right?
And you had to prove
not double stuffs, right? I'm not a savage. It's your standard Oreo. And we're like, all right, well, let's do this. Let's have an Oreo eating contest. So we got like 4 packages of Oreos. Yeah. And I'm sitting there with my lieutenant, and he's hammering them, right? And I'm got one sleeve down, and I'm like, this is the best challenge ever. I love Oreos. Get another sleeve. I'm crushing it. Another sleeve. I finish a pack. Okay. Starting on that second pack. Starting to get some pangs over here. Okay. And probably halfway through that, man, I tap out. I'm done. And he finishes his whole pack and the rest of mine. Okay. Dude's an animal.
Right on.
So the rest of the shift, I am like in the chairs, hurting, feeling terrible. And, like, we all have a good laugh, and I don't eat dinner that night. I think it's something crazy, like 20,000 calories or something that I put in.
Jeez.
And, so that next morning I get off shift and I go over to my, girlfriend, my now wife's apartment, and I'm like regaling her with this story. And like, I think it's hilarious, 'cause like I made everybody laugh, and she, a little background on her. Okay. We've known each other since the 4th grade, and we spent a lot of time. We knew each other, right?
Sure.
Like we knew who each other were.
Right.
And she goes, is this who you want to be? Like, you want to be the funny fat guy? And it like took me back.
Right.
And at the time, like, it was one of those like wake up moments.
Sure. No, I remember reading the book. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what was so special about it was like, she's incredible.
Right.
And she was able to foresee that, like, I had more in me, and that I hadn't seen it yet, but she had.
Right.
So I think it's one of like the coolest stories we have. And yeah, it wasn't like the next day I was like,
boom,
here we go, like slimming down.
But it's the catalyst, man. It's the catalyst, man. It's
totally.
Yeah.
And so, I go into it in the book, kind of how I like my process of getting in shape and getting healthier. And it took a really long time. And like, I still don't have a very good relationship with food. Like that mental stuff, like never goes away, like that,
right on.
Your body composition changes, but it's still like an issue.
It's still like this massive love affair that's just waiting to occur.
Totally. I mean, it's like if you're an alcoholic and you stop drinking, like you still like, I mean, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't know personally, but like I would imagine, or like, let me ask you.
I have this massive love affair with beer, like just straight up barley and hops. Let me ask you
about smoking, because it was something that you quit. Do you ever like smell some cigars in the back of the firehouse?
Someone, like here's the deal. I hate the stale, like leftover, just
like every house we're ever
yes, every get called to, every lift assist, and yes, no, but that fresh light up, that fresh cracked pack, yes, 100% gets me every time.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's in your brain.
Yes,
and I think people who end up getting in shape think that like, oh, like I'm not gonna crave a bunch of bullshit and
another
want a
couple sleeves of Oreos
and like, yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, that sounds awesome.
Right.
Especially when your wife's an incredible cook, like you want to get after
just crush it.
Yeah. That, okay, well now I have a choice. Right. And so if I choose to become a slob again, well, I'm probably not going to be able to perform my job, and my brothers and sisters won't trust me anymore. So like, is it worth it? Like, I don't know.
And this is really that tie back, because you just said it. You have a choice. I think that's the thing I was trying to say is once you figure out that it's a choice, then you can either make excuses or make the choice. And that's really, I mean, that's a great, man. I love that.
Yeah. You really you should have wrote the book, because you took all of that shenanigans and you boiled it down to one sentence.
I got that from reading your book. So you've already, but no, I mean it. I mean, that's beautiful, man. Gavin Reynolds said, your wife's comment helped change much of the fire service with the fire she started in you. And that's the crazy part, man. It really
I'm going to replay that for her, because she hates that story. So that maybe that'll make her feel better.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Skills used in the fire service are perishable. If you don't use it, you lose it. Also from Gavin. A teacher of mine in high school always said, results, not excuses. Excuses will only delay results. And that's from Tony Nunez.
Way to go, Tony.
Chiming in. No, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Valerie said, thanks for indulging me. It's your choice to get better,
Val.
which causes you to do self-reflection, not making excuses. You've done it, and it's where you preach from. And that, I mean, ultimately, no one would be reading the Backstep if you hadn't done it. You know what I'm saying? So that's a very, very, very powerful self-example, man. Okay. This is one of my favorite parts. The biggest impact. No, where I want to get to. You took an assignment that most people dreaded in your department, and that was the rescue. And you told the story in here, man. It's one of my favorite parts of this book. So, go ahead and talk about it and go.
All right. Everyone's got a position at their department. Maybe it's an ambulance company. Maybe it's a certain station. It just sucks. Like nobody wants to do it. And the way that the department that I work at was running it at the time was like you got pulled out of your so the way that the department I work at runs is you bid a seat. It's your seat until you leave it. So, but we have these rescues. They're basically like pickup trucks that drive around and go to like call medical calls, right? So you're basically like on a Band-Aid bus, and you can still go to fires, stuff like that.
Highly coveted position is what I'm getting out of this.
Yeah, everybody wants everyone wants a piece of the rescue.
Okay.
And like you're not really part of the crew because you're on a different schedule than they are. You end up working like 4 days in a row, and I had a newborn at the time. It was like nothing about it was good. And you just had to do it. It was like your turn in the barrel. When seniority hit, you had to go. So I looked at the list. It's with a medic and EMT. I was a paramedic. And I I look at the list and there's a guy by the name of Dan Skoglund. And if you can think about that person on your department who maybe you've never even seen upset, right? Always in a good mood, always ready to get after it. And when they work, it is like you just sit back and watch, just savages. And one of the nicest people I've ever met. And so I see him on the list and I'm like, all right, I'm going to call this guy. And I call him up. I said, all right, buddy, these next 6 months, they're going to suck, but like, let's do it together. Like, let's make the best rescue ever. Like, let's make this a coveted position. Let's see if we can do it. He's like, I'm in. So we show up to the rescue the first day. I think it was the first day. And my whole life's just been turned, both of our lives totally turned upside down. We both have new kids. And we get these ugly Hawaiian seat covers, this pirate flag that I keep in my truck to this day.
Nice.
A Hawaiian hula girl for the dash. And we get these ugly glasses from a company called Pit Viper.
Pit Vipers.
And if Pit Viper's listening, they're awesome. I love a fresh pair. But we were just like, let's just have fun with it, right? We're both like very capable at our job. So I think, we weren't blowing anything off. To be honest with you, I think we provided some of the best patient care because we were having so much fun.
That's awesome, man.
So we're like, all right, well, how do we make this awesome? Well, our goal basically is like, you didn't really have a district. You could kind of float around to the different stations during the day. So we'd call the stations in the morning and say, hey, who's doing cool training? We're going to come out and help. And if we didn't have anybody say like, yeah, we're really getting after it today, we would beg, borrow, and steal to get some extra hose or a nozzle or whatever it was. And just train ourselves. And we tried to meet every new person that we could to show them. And I honestly think this was intentional,
right?
I don't think we ever talked about it, but like, we want to show them how great this job is and how great our department is.
Dude, that's so dope, man. That is so dope.
I think we did it. I don't know. I mean, we liked it. We had fun.
Dude, it definitely sounds like you completely changed your mindset towards it. If that was the only thing, but it definitely sounds like there was so much more going on than that.
Yeah, I mean, it pissed a lot of people off. I'll tell you that.
Right.
And we don't really care. Like, what are you gonna do? Take away my birthday? What are you gonna do? Put me on the rescue? Like, you already did.
I'm here.
It's not gonna get a whole lot worse. So yeah, I don't think we made a ton of friends on the higher echelon of our department, but
right on.
I'm not there for them.
Right.
I'm there for the people who call us, and fire me.
Now something I want to ask you, because this is something for me, like whenever there gets pushback or whenever there's griping or insert whatever, and it doesn't even have to be from your own department, but whenever there's pushback, I always like to analyze where does it come from and who is that person, and do I respect that person's opinion, or am I proud of the fact that they're pushing back? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, you're a chief. How would you feel if two people decided to, I think I know the answer, but decided to basically.
When I read the story in the book, I think it's one of the coolest things you could do with the bad assignment, man. So,
well, I mean,
when I say bad assignment, I hope you understand what I mean. What most people perceive.
Yeah, it was perceived, but like, your perception is reality. So like, if you go to work every day and you're like, ugh, I got to be on this pickup truck, and like,
right.
Okay, how about you get to be with one of your buddies and cruise around and help people all day? Like,
right.
Which they're the same thing. They're the same rig sitting in the same station. The only thing that's different is your mindset. And I was just like blessed enough to be with somebody who is ready to like take that journey with me.
Dude, I love the fact that the humility involved in that. But one of my quotes from your book, man, I'm going to pull it up here so I get it right. The pursuit of firemanship and mindset. Like, I think there's a book that looks similar to this one. I wish I had it to hold up that says mindset on it. But the pursuit of firemanship also, that's a very key thing you guys did, was said, hey, we're also going to go out and train and do firemanship. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think they're one and the same, right? Like, if your mindset is to go out and enjoy yourself and you get fulfillment from being proficient at your job, then they're the same thing. And not to mention, like, I have a long life after this job's over. I hope.
Right.
We all hope.
Hope, yes. I get
right?
You. Yes, 100%.
But if you're not planning what your mindset's going to be in retirement now, you're screwed. You know, like, you need to be living the life that you're going to live for the rest of your life right now. Don't wait. Don't wait until you retire to be like, you know what? When I retire, I'm going to get in shape. Or when I retire, I'm going to travel more. Or when I retire, me and my wife are really going to get our shit together. Like, if you don't do it now, you're never going to do it.
Love it.
Sorry, I get on tangents.
No, I just got to write down the tangents. So I got to figure out which one's going to be the one I use for the bite, man. I love it, man. It's a great thing. You know, and that's, again, it might be my favorite quote from the book, The Pursuit. It's like, that is the formula for being in a situation that maybe you don't want to be in. Maybe you didn't get a pick, but the formula is like, I hear it all the time. It's like, hey, Chief Moore, I want to be a badass, but my chief won't let me, or my captain refuses to do insert X, right? But
okay, is that a cause or an excuse?
Exactly, man. You're
exactly right.
And the pursuit of firemanship and mindset, 100% is how you react to it, man.
You know what I think? What happens is those people who are like, you know, my chief will let me train. I'm going to promote, and then I can make a change. It's like, if you can't create change without rank, you sure shit ain't going to be able to create change with rank, because you haven't cultivated the skills needed to do so, right? Like, it takes some tact and some forethought and a whole lot of follow through to create change that's lasting, regardless of your rank. So if you don't do that when you don't have any, you're probably not going to do a very good job of it when you have rank, because then you're going to rely on that bugle for all this buy-in.
Right.
But it doesn't work like that, right?
Those bugles don't have magic powers. Yeah.
No, people are going to go along with your bullshit because you're an officer, and then they're going to forget it. No. So if you don't do it down here, it ain't going to happen up here.
Dude, that's it, man. I love it. Okay. Here we go. The biggest impact a backstep can have is creating a positive environment in the firehouse. And again, this isn't new because this is basically what you've been saying, but it's a quote I loved from the book, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the officer's job to create a good working environment.
Okay.
Right? Like, their job is to make sure that you have what you need to succeed. Agree or disagree, right? You're a chief. I don't know. That's what I assume. That's what I expect out of my officer.
Man, if you do not give them the tools to succeed, then you can't set an expectation. So 100%, I'm with you so far.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. A big thing for me. So this is where I don't want to even digress or take away from your point, but a big thing for me is as an officer or as the chief, you need to set the attitude. You know, and if you, I feel like I would be negligent if I relied on my backsteps to set it, but I don't want to take away from your point of
that's because you were a backstep when you were riding backwards, right? Like, that's not a normal chief's mindset. You know what I'm saying? Right, because you're taking responsibility as I need to set the standard.
I absolutely do. Yes, 100%.
Okay, so that if you didn't cultivate that riding backwards, that's not something that you get when you promote. I don't think it's your job.
Fair.
I know it's my job.
I love it, dude. I'm not.
Right?
That's why I'm saying I don't want to take away from you by saying I think it's my job too. So,
but like, even though you have a white shirt, you have that backstep mindset.
Fair enough. Okay.
And that's what I think. That's what makes you such a good chief and such a integral piece of like what makes your podcast so successful. Because that's the way you approach life and that's the way you approach your conversations. But you didn't learn that going through the promotional process. I assume, like, I feel like that's a way you've been for a while, or maybe I'm wrong.
I have a very unique story. So, but it's not,
send it.
But it's not about my story at all. So I don't want to take, but I'm 100% shaped by so many influences. But again, I want to go back to the backsteps. mindset because 100% I think that, like you said, the exception to the rule is someone where they try to set the attitude from the top down. I think it comes from the bottom up.
There's more of us.
Yes.
Right. So like if you can get, you know, in our department, we ride 2 people in the back seat. Okay. So it's a numbers game. If the 2 people in the back seat are having a great day, the officer is outnumbered. Okay. We're probably going to have a good day.
I like it.
If you have 2 people behind you who are, 2 Eeyores, there's nothing that officer can do. So it's simple math, right? Like I think it is our job as the crew to make sure that our officer has what he needs, right? Which is people in the back, happy to be there, ready to give it their all. And then what we expect from our officer is the tools we need to succeed, which is we need, a place to train and,
and the time to do it.
And the time to do it, right?
It, yeah. Take care of my schedule.
That I tell you what, you hit the nail on the head. I wasn't even thinking about that, but you're right. We need time.
No, dude, if you give me the attitude, yeah. If you go ahead. If you have 2 guys in back that have the attitude and you can't give them the time to do it, then you're, again, I'll go to one of my favorite quotes. You're a special kind of asshole. You can ruin it.
We call those professional pieces of shit.
Okay. There you go. Very much so, man. Dude, I love it, man. And that's infectious. That's the best part about it. It's so infectious.
You hope so. But like some days you're not going to be there, right? Like that's what I rely on. I tell you what, I have the best crew I've ever had in the fire service right now.
That's awesome.
You have these crews where like maybe half of you are on board or, the majority's on board, but not really everybody. And like, I've never had it mesh like this. So I've got a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old upstairs. And there are some days that I come into work and like, I'm not where I wish I was. And I think my fellow backsteps, like they realize that and they're like, all right, we're going to have to get him. We're going to have to get him right.
Right.
And they always do. But, it's not like there's just one backstep at a station. Like it's not like this
you're is the limit. Yeah, here it is.
This is you.
No one else.
There's no one else.
Right.
Like it could be everyone in the back seat.
So let me ask you, Craig, how much of that is like intentionality and like forethought where you've had these conversations of like, is it out in the open where you say, hey guys, there's going to be times when I come in here and I want you to know I'm counting on you. Is it something that out in the open or is it all subconscious and just kind of, because you're, like you said, I call them those magical crews. You get them like once or twice in your career.
I completely agree. It's not going to be forever.
Right. And so how much is it just because it just happened or have you guys talked about it actually vocally? I'm wondering.
Chief, that's a great question. The answer is both. So we are lucky enough to get new people all the time.
Right.
And normally when you get a new person in your station, the officer brings them into a room and they tell them about their expectations and, yada, yada, yada. We do that as the firefighters. Nice. We will take our new person and we will give them a talk about what we expect of them, but more importantly, what they should expect of us. And that kind of comes out in that talk. And, what's funny about that talk is it's almost the same thing, right? We expect them to have an open mind. We expect them to work hard. We expect them to initiate trainings and prove to us that they want to be there. Okay. And then we say, you should expect the exact same thing from us.
Nice.
And there are going to be some days when like, we're just not all there. Whatever happens, right? We get those calls that might jack you up for a couple shifts and like, maybe you're not training so hard. Maybe XYZ.
Sure.
Right.
Complain. Yeah.
But that's what it is. Like there's no different expectations for the probie than there is for us. Right. Maybe a few like cleaning duties, but that's really it. Like we should be just as excited as you are to be here.
But you're actively vocal about, hey, I'm making myself accountable to you to hold me to this when I'm not there.
Oh, totally. If you don't, then they don't know.
Dude, I love that. And I've never heard, like, this is the first time I've ever heard of like a crew, like oftentimes the officer calling them into the office and say, here's what I expect, here's what you can expect of me. But I've never heard of a crew actually doing that. And I love that.
Well, I tell you what, it's because it never happened to you.
You're right.
Right? It never happened to me. I never had a crew sit me down. I talk about some crews I had inside this book. And, I think there's a huge shift in the fire service.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't treat this next generation like the last one. Okay. And again, throughout this whole thing, like I'm just talking for Craig.
100%.
I'm not representing 55 Fire or what Tom and John think. Like this is just Craig's opinion. Back in 60s, 70s, 80s, it was if you're going to work, you make a paycheck, and that's the most important thing. If I can provide for my family, I have succeeded. Okay. Well, now it's like, I want to feel valued. I want to feel like I'm making a difference. I want to feel like I'm using my life for something more than just trading my time for money. And we need those type of people to be leaders so that we don't lose this next generation. I mean, we don't have to, definitely not going into politics, but people are quitting their jobs at like crazy rates. All right. Some of that has to do with the fact that there's some extra scratch floating around, but people want to enjoy their life. They don't want to lack
of purpose.
Totally. That's a great way to put it, right? Lack of purpose. They don't want to work at some job for 20 years just so hopefully they can retire on Social Security. Like that might have been the dream back then, but like it isn't now. So if we try and lead this next generation the way that we were led, we're going to lose everybody. They might still show up to work, but we're going to lose them. So I think it's imperative that we don't wait any longer to make this change, right? Don't wait until you promote. Don't wait. If you're a lieutenant, don't wait until you're a captain. Do it now. Do it next shift. The problem is that follow through, right?
Always the consistency.
Yeah. I read this book and I'm like, oh man, I'm going to do all this stuff.
Everything that's in it, man. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to bed at night with this great plan for the future. You know what I'm saying?
It's like beep, 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 beep,
yeah. Oh yeah. Perfect.
Right.
Perfect
Everything comes
effect.
up and it's not important anymore. Yes. Right. So, take small little chunks. Okay. They don't have to be like sit your crew down and be like, all right, I read this book last night and I am the Backstep and I am going to be fit and everyone is going to listen to me.
Right.
Like you lost them.
Right.
This is a process. This is going to take time. But if you don't start tomorrow, you're probably not going to start.
Love it. I'm going to catch you up because there's a ton of people who said stuff. Tony, I love this. Going to pass it on. Robert, Philip Grant said, if you want to test a firefighter's character, give him a badge. I cannot disagree. Cycling through, I'm just kind of catch everybody. Robert J. Ortega said, the officer position comes into play in setting things in motion. There are certain doors you can't open as a firefighter and you need the officer to accomplish. And that's where that attitude comes in. Daniel Nelms said...
Hey, can we go back to that?
Yeah.
Could you ask that dude to give an example?
Robert J. Ortega?
Yeah, please, Robert.
Robert, give us an example of the officer position comes into play in setting things in motion. There are certain doors you can't open as a firefighter, and you need the officer to accomplish it. Craig has asked for examples, so I'm going to hit it to you, but I'm going to keep going here while you come up with it. Daniel Nelm said, attitude is everything. A good senior man can make or break the fire company, and I 100% agree with that. Gavin Reynolds coming back said, with the presence you have in the fire service, here's a question for you. I'm sorry. With the presence you have in the fire service via social media and so on, how does your department and peers react?
Oh boy, that is a loaded question.
And you don't have to answer anything.
No.
Okay.
I mean,
okay. I just want to give you the caveat. I'm giving the get out of jail free card.
Yeah. I think, again, this is just me. Okay. I think I work for one of the best departments in the country.
Love it.
With some of the best firefighters I've ever worked with. And I've worked for other big departments I shouldn't say big, medium-sized departments, right? Somewhere around 20-ish stations. And this group that we have is top-notch and just exponential opportunities for growth. Okay. I think that the social media thing is scary. Okay. Because we're expected to be able to get a sound bite out of how we feel. And there's no way to take that back.
Right.
Okay. So if I say something, I can't follow it up with an explanation. And I think that that's kind of a dangerous thing. And we have taken a stance as a company to hold a higher standard. Okay. And we refuse to move that standard. Even if it means our jobs. Okay. I think it goes back to like, what do I want my son and daughter to be proud of? Right. And I have no problem bagging groceries if I can tell them that I stood up for my beliefs and did what was right, regardless of the outcome. And I'm okay with that. Okay. I think I'm going to say this is a global thing.
Okay.
I think departments lack the confidence in themselves to allow their people working for them to push that standard. Okay. So not willing to back them up, even if they're trying to do good. Okay. And that is a general statement about all departments.
All departments, not your. Yeah, I get it.
No. Yeah. So
and I feel that from traveling and talking. Yeah, I feel that completely. It's.
So you go to these conferences like we have, and you have all these disenfranchised people. Okay. They don't feel valued. They don't feel like they have, like that one gentleman who asked that question, like, you need this officer to do this thing. They don't feel like they can make a change. And so when you have a big group of these people, like, where are we supposed to go? Right. Where are we supposed to go to like share our passion, to like, hey, it's okay to give a shit.
Right.
We have to go to these conferences, and then we get back to our departments and we're like, oh, this isn't fun anymore.
We're back where we were.
Right. And maybe if I transfer departments, it'll be different. Or maybe if I leave, whatever. Right. And like, I've left like 5 departments already. So like, I know, I know what that feeling's like, that grass is greener feeling.
Right. And especially with social media, that grass is greener feeling, man.
Everyone wants to work at Stockton.
No doubt.
I tell you what, those guys do like the best job of,
or maybe the BCFD, like Pigtown and stuff, like just
like, like, oh, clearly I'm going to be doing it there.
Right. No doubt.
And maybe you are. I mean, it looks like it.
No doubt.
But I think that departments are very concerned about how they look. You know, we have an interesting job, right? We don't provide any value to the cities we work for.
The bottom line. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We provide no money.
Right.
The cops do. We don't. Mm-hmm. Right. The parks do. Everybody provides money but us. We are 100% liability.
Straight up drain. Yeah.
That's it. So I feel like chiefs, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're like, man, we should get like a smoke alarm program, or we should get like, I don't know, we'll come and.
No, it's easy. Whatever. It's very easy to lose sight of especially in the last 20 years specifically, of the all hazards approach and the many hats we're forced to wear, and where can we get value, and what is I think it's very easy to water down the mission, and the mission is, we are the people that inherit the problems that no one else can solve. We inherit them. They're ours. We got to go solve them. And I think when you start losing sight of that is where the other stuff starts trickling in. Don't get me preaching. Sorry.
No, I mean, you're 100% right. And you have way more exposure than this. Like, right. I'm speaking as someone who's never been in a budget meeting. I've never been to a city council meeting. So it's very easy for me to say all these things. Right.
And brother, I don't want to come across I don't.
Oh no,
I don't deal with it. I'm a BC, not a chief. I only have 3, man. You start dealing with real stuff when you get to 4 and 5. So,
well, I'll say this. there's no greater value than you can give your city than happy employees.
100%.
Okay. So you want to fix sick call-ins, you want to fix mandatory overtimes, create happy employees. And you don't do that by really anything else than job satisfaction. Okay. So if you can find a way to create value for your people, that's all you need. Everything else takes care of itself. And I think that gets lost in the shuffle.
100%.
So,
and I'll go back to your, I'm going to quote Craig Stalowy and says the pursuit of firemanship and mindset. So,
yeah, I mean, I think I can't say where I work. So I guess that tells you how they feel about us.
Okay. No, yeah.
You know,
and you're not alone in that. There's a lot, and I know some of it is one of the things that drives me crazy is the decision making based on the worst case scenario. And this is my own personal little mantra here. But when you play out the scenario and say, well, what if? Okay, we're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? But gosh, that drives me crazy. You know,
it's easy though, right?
No, it's definitely
easy to say no.
Dude, we'll go to mindset where he says it's easy to say no.
That's it.
Yeah,
it's easy to say no. And I think here's my hope for upper echelons of departments everywhere. You spent so much money hiring the right people.
Right.
You should trust them. Or
God, that's such a strong message.
Change your hiring.
God, that's such a strong message, man.
It is, right?
Dude.
If you're a business, right? If you're Google, okay, you spend so much front end work trying to find the right people. You don't really have to worry about keeping them. So if you're losing a lot of people, whether they're still on the payroll, but they're gone, or they actually leave the department, I think it's all right, well, why is this happening? Maybe it's because we're not hiring the right folks, or maybe we're putting too much energy into one spot that's not creating job satisfaction, because this generation values job satisfaction over anything else, right? You want to save money and you don't want to give us raises, but everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Take this podcast for a minute.
Okay.
Right. And ours, it takes us 4 or 5 hours to get out a 1 hour episode.
Right.
Okay. When we send that episode out, we make $0.
Right on.
And it is one of the happiest things in my
life. Dude,
100%. Fire. So it's money clearly ain't it.
Right.
So if you can find a way to do that, you're going to have way happier employees. And I wish that for everybody.
No, there's a reason people took this job. And don't get me wrong, some people took it for the paycheck. I'm not downplaying that. Some people took it for the paycheck, but there's a reason why people did this job, and you have to connect to that. And okay, but I got an answer for you.
Yeah.
I've run into the roadblocks. This is from Robert. He said, I've run into roadblocks in the past with station projects to improve morale and station pride. And if the station captain was not interested, those projects were dead in the water. Okay. Continuing. Or you may have expectations you have for yourself in reference to training, participation, or work ethic. And if your officer doesn't have the same interest, it can try to darken your fire. Some officers are intimidated by senior men with loads of initiative, but you got to keep pushing forward and surround yourself with like-minded individuals throughout your department. So that was his explanation for your question.
All right. Thank you very much for writing that. I think that's something, and the reason I asked is because who doesn't feel that way?
Right.
We all feel that way, right?
No, 100%.
So we talk a lot about in our mindset class is how are you going to view that, right? Are you going to see it as a challenge, or are you going to see it as a threat? Okay. Because what happens, and I didn't come up with this, right? Much smarter than me did, but when you see something, even when you think about those two words, right? I see that as a threat, right? I'm everything comes down. I lose all my juice. But if you see something as a challenge, hey, they're not letting us get a bailout prop here. Okay. Challenge or threat.
Right on.
Am I going to see this as a challenge for me to, hey, how can I figure out a way to get this done.
Right on.
Maybe it's not a bailout prop. Maybe it's a VES prop that we can use for bailout. So maybe I'm going to come up with a presentation that's like, hey, this is the statistics on VES. And like, this is Craig's personal opinion. VES is maybe one of the safest ways to get inside a structure. Could we build a VES prop and then you give them no way to say no? You found the budget. You went and called the city to make sure that it was okay. You found a spot for it. You got a survey from all 3 shifts and all the officers that say that they want it. You found a builder to do it, or you're going to do it yourself on off time. And you got clearance from the chief that said, hey, yeah, you can go ahead and use your off time to come in and build this thing.
Dude.
Is that how you're doing it? Or are you just being like, hey, I want a bailout prop.
Right.
And then and that's it. Like, yeah, I would say no to that too.
And I want to circle back to choice and dude, I love the whole challenge versus threat. And I was introduced to it by Spira like way back. Yeah, no, 100%. And, but you said it goes back to the choice versus excuse, man. I hear this all the time. It's like the excuse is, man, my chief / captain / insert whoever won't let us be awesome. You know what I'm saying? And like you just said it, man, do you look at it as a challenge or,
that's it. And my buddy Ross tells me this all the time. It's like, don't give them an excuse to say no. Don't give them a reason to say no, right? Cover every angle. So put yourself in their position and come up with, yeah, you know what? They're going to get hurt if they do this. All right. Well, I found a climbing gym that was going to donate a crash pad for the bottom of this bailout prop. And that seems to be statistically from, these 3 articles from Firehouse magazine. That's where people get
the biggest problem. Right. Just taking out the strikes. Yeah. No. And this is not directed at Robert. So don't take this, Robert, because I know you and you're very fired up. Is a lot of time people want to latch onto their excuses and then complain about them because it's funner to complain about it than it is to actually go do work.
So it's also not going to work all the time. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So when we were on that rescue, we spent 6 months trying to get bailout kits for the entire department. Okay. And I think we put in, I don't know, hundreds of hours and it fell on its face. So it's like, all right, do I say that, forget this department.
I'm done.
It doesn't care about us. Well, I probably didn't do something right. Okay. I didn't know that there was a grant schedule that like, I just assumed like I could just go get one.
Right.
And, so like, okay, that was my fault. The next time I come up with an idea, I'm going to know that that's it.
Part of the equation. Right.
That's it. Like nobody at our job from the top down, from our chief to the probie wants to come in and do a bad job.
I love that. Nobody's
trying to screw you over. If it didn't work out, it was probably for a reason. And it was probably your fault.
Dude, man.
Right? I mean, am I right?
Dude, it's so powerful, man. A lot of power. No. And that's the thing is, because I we're having this discussion today with some guys, and we were talking, I firmly believe no one comes in and says, I want to screw up everything today and F these guys over who want to try and train. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this goes back to like your relationships.
Yeah.
Like if I get in an argument with my wife, like, it's probably something I did. It's probably the way that I like presented a problem.
I'm not telling her that.
No, I would tell her that. It's probably the way that like I present a problem, or I didn't pick the right time to come up with this. I mean, I think we all want to do good. We all want to be someone that our kids are proud of. And I think it's like, we just need to realize that about everybody.
Everybody else, the empathy. Dude, this is
again, back to empathy.
We're in circles, man. We're touching on some stuff.
That's right.
I want to hit on the cup in front of you. It has an anvil and it says the standard. And I really want to hit on that, man. I really want to touch on it.
Thanks. We have an incredible audience.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I think Fit to Fight Fire reached over 2 million people last month.
Congrats, dude. That's badass.
Yeah, it's awesome. I
mean,
mean,
100%.
John does an absolutely incredible job at our social media. We kind of have decided to change our platform of our podcast. Okay. Fit to Fight Fire is going to stay exactly the way that it is. We're going to go out and we're going to teach classes under Fit to Fight Fire. The website's still going to be up. All the old episodes are going to be up, but we want to concentrate on building a community, not just an audience. And how we're doing that is we are changing the name of our podcast to The Standard. And it's not just for firefighters. Okay. It's going to be for anyone who wants to join us in the fight of the celebration of mediocrity. Ooh. We want to hold the line, and we want to surround ourselves with other people who do as well.
Love it.
And, you know, we talked about those people in the other stations who feel disenfranchised and, hey, I'm trying to hold a high standard, but everybody around me just, you know, is totally fine with mediocrity because it makes everyone feel comfortable. They have no place to go. They have no core group, right? You know, one of my favorite quotes is, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Okay. Ooh. You hanging around with a bunch of suck asses who, you know, have $80,000 trucks and they're making Proby wages. You're probably going to do the same thing.
Right on.
You know, like every part of your life is going to be worse hanging around with people like that. You need to find an inner circle, and maybe it's not around you. Maybe you need somebody else, which is one part I love about the stuff that you're doing, right? If someone who's in a department that they can't find anyone who's engaged, they can listen to your show. They can listen to these legends of the fire service, right? And they'll feel connected. Well, we want to take that a step further. Okay. We want to create a group where not only can you listen to our new podcast, which, it's going to have the same kind of vibe, just different types of guests.
Sure.
We want to create a space where a certain amount of people, around 150, will be able to have conference calls once a month with us. We'll be able to do interview prep with us. Nice. We'll be able to, basically have access to us all the time. And in hopes of building like a wherever they want to go, like we want to help.
Nice.
And the reason we're keeping it small is that they did a study where they found that 150 people is the perfect number for a tribe.
Oh, I love it.
Okay. So any bigger than that, it kind of gets lost.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. So we want to keep 150-ish people kind of in this special group. And it is going to cost some money. But we're always going to have a free show. The standard's always going to be free. But if you want a bit more, right? If you want free programming from Matt Chan, okay? He won the Titan Games. He's a CrossFit athlete, total stud, badass fireman.
He's a badass.
He's going to do your programming for you on an app. It's going to have videos. It's going to be daily. It's just basically it's going to be a space that if you want to take control of your life, we want to help you do that.
It's just that whole sphere of encouragement for just being a badass, basically.
It's like, it's anyone who wants to just pursue it.
Okay.
Because none of us think we're there.
Right. No, I get that.
You know, it's just to help pursue that.
That's awesome.
If you're a fan of our podcast, the only thing you're going to notice is the intro is going to change. Okay. Everything else is going to stay the same.
Rock on.
If you want a little bit more, we want to give it to you.
There's a community. There's a community that you can become a part of.
Totally.
Totally.
So it's not launched yet. We still have to create a website and do a whole bunch of stuff. We're hoping for next month, and we'll definitely let you know that's rolling out. But
there's some sort of exclusive. This is a weekly scrap exclusive, is what I'm saying.
That's right. No one knows about this.
Really? Okay, I was joking, but yeah.
No, it was. We decided that this would be a great space to do that.
That's awesome, man.
We just we see the need for people who just want to do better, and we want to be able to do that for people.
That's awesome.
And so I think,
and it's such a great platform for it, man. Because 100%. Like a lot of people don't know how big of influence Fit to Fight Fire was on me doing what I do, and so that's the thing that I don't know if John, Tom, yourself realize how much the peripheral effects of the spinning out of the hurricane that is them has affected the fire service. So, and just me being a small part of that, like I told you earlier, that crackling fire, and it's like, would you want you rescuing you? You know what I'm saying?
I'm a fan.
No, 100%.
I mean, it changed my entire. I didn't know what a fire conference was until I got with these guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everything changed, and I hope that we can at least help some people along their path.
No, and you have to tell John and Tom both, because they were both very early guests of the scrap, which is awesome. But
they
both deserve to have
anybody, I guess.
They both deserve to have it's so much better than when they came on before. Like, I don't know if Tom even realizes it, but his whole audio was all messed up because of how bad I was technically. And so I feel so bad still to this day.
It was him.
Yeah. No, it was not him. I know what I did.
You were perfect.
No. Yeah. Okay. Well, I like that story better than mine. So, all right. Now, one thing I always like to ask is books. I'm an avid reader, and I'm always looking for new books. And I always like to ask my guests, are there books that you think firefighters should read? And they do not have to be firefighter books. So
yeah, my answer is anything. Read anything. Like just find a joy for reading. I tell you what, this is super embarrassing. You know the Hunger Games books?
Yes, dude, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so like teenage girls read it.
Yes, my daughters read them. I read them because my teenage daughters read them, and they were really good.
Dude, that was like, I read that book and I'm like, oh, like reading doesn't have to suck. And since then, I mean, I've obviously gotten into things a little bit more technical than Katniss Everdeen, but I would say find a book, right? And then find that Quake book, right? That one that just like shakes your core. So obstacle is the way, ego is the enemy. I'm reading The Comfort Crisis right now, and it's outstanding.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good. The other one my buddy Ross told me to read was The Alchemist. I know we all read it in high school.
I've quoted that guy quite a bit on some of my memes, but I've not read the book. So
okay, so I read it in high school, and I was like, well, this book's stupid.
Right.
And I read it again last month, and I was like, oh, I need to read this every year. So those are my picks.
Nice.
No fire books. And obviously, I mean, if you're going to read one book in your entire life,
The Backstep.
I mean,
do you like it better than Mindset?
Oh, that's a horrible question to ask me. I think they're both
equally awesome.
Exactly what you need.
Right on. Hey, I will say, there are, like I've said this over and over and over, and the content of whatever you're reading is awesome, but I love the fact that you said anything.
Well, like people just don't, I mean, I didn't enjoy reading. Like I hated school.
Right.
So I thought reading was like for nerds.
Yes, 100%.
But man, I really, that's how I finish off every one of my days. And yeah, I mean, it's great.
Dude, once you understand how powerful it is, not what you're reading, just the fact of reading and firing up those gray cells, and
that's right,
and everything that goes along with it, man. It is strong. Dude, that might be the best answer I've ever heard to what should firefighters be reading, man.
Oh boy,
I'm telling you. Okay.
Yeah, the Hunger Games. That's what should be reading.
And it's not like he just said Hunger Games as an example. He knew who Katniss Everdeen was.
It was a great book.
5 questions for firefighters. I've been doing this thing for a while where I ask the 5 questions for firefighters. The answers are 100% your opinion. There is no right or wrong. The points are arbitrary. They're passed out by me. And I really try hard.
You gave out a perfect score, by the way, the other day.
I know, and I try so hard to not give out perfect scores, but man, I think it goes back to the quality of the guests I have. I really do try to lay on that. But I try not to make them gimmies. I really do.
Okay.
So, with all of that being said, Craig Stalowy, are you ready for the 5 questions for firefighters?
I think I'm ready.
We can do this. Number 1, what is the number 1 issue facing the modern fire service?
Leadership vacuum. Hands down. I have a theory.
Okay.
Ready for this?
I love theories.
This has absolutely no backing in science.
That's the best kind.
Yeah. There's a quote out there that soft times create soft people.
Ooh.
And the fire service wasn't always a career path, right? It wasn't until obviously the big departments, the Chicagos, the New Yorks, they've been around for a long time.
Sure.
But the establishment of career fire departments is a relatively new thing. So there's always been volunteers, but the, I want to get out of high school and become a career firefighter is a relatively new thing. Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the 60s, 70s, 80s municipalities were like, we need a career fire department. Right?
No, I'm loving. Yeah. I'm seeing where you're going. I'm following.
So we had some major conflicts in those eras that created some great leaders. Okay.
No. Yeah.
So then the 90s and 2000s came, and that 80s, 90s period, we lost a lot of the.
Those are the hard times. Those are the hard times.
No, the hard times were those, the Vietnam, Korea War.
Okay. So the hard times led to the soft times.
Exactly. Well, they always do.
Right.
And so the people that came up in that era, and not all of them by all means, I've had some of the best chiefs ever, but I'm saying in the broader view.
Yeah. American Fire Service, not your
American Fire Service. Right. We started as this paramilitary organization because that's who was coming into the fire service, was all of these people who came from that. And they were like, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be wearing blue jeans to fires, and we should be wearing uniforms.
Right.
And we should be, like doing ceremonies and having a rank structure and all this other sorts of stuff. A lot of that was lost when we had no wartime for an extended period of time. And I think that the reason that the fire service feels very corporate right now is that those were the people they were looking up to, not the people from the military. So now we have a bit of a vacuum of, there's a handful of like incredible chiefs. Okay. The department that I left a while ago probably has two of the best chiefs I've ever worked for, and they're working together. And it's like, that place must be going bonkers. Magical, right?
Right.
The cool thing is I think that's about to change. Okay. Take guys like Dakota Meyer, right? Like a true American hero is now getting into the fires. I'm just using his as an example because I follow him, and I feel like he's exactly what we need. We just need a lot of them. So I think right now the biggest issue is the fire service, and honestly, how we're recruiting, I think, is a big problem.
Okay.
It seems like the recruiting events that I've been a part of are at high schools, where like the kids, I wasn't focused in high school. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I think that we should be targeting, like college athletes that aren't going to go pro. Like, why don't we try and draft them? Like, hey, you love team, you love hard work, you're fit, you understand discipline, like, and you're not going to the pros. You probably didn't do very well in college because like the Big Ten athletes that I know, like they just got.
You were too busy running off tackle to be studying.
Right. Like the teachers gave you whatever grades you want. Like, why don't you come work for us? Like, why don't you come work for the fire department?
Right.
And I think that'll change a lot of the issues that we're having in the fire service.
Oh, dude, I like it. And this is the crazy part is, and I've said this like the last few times, so I don't want to be a broken record, but it's hard to come up with the original answer to that. And I really like that, man.
Yeah. I mean, we talk a lot about that at work and
fair. No, it's fair. It's fair. It's very fair. All right. Number 2, pulling them up. I don't know these. What is the thing you are most excited about for the future of firefighting?
This kind of goes with what Trey said a few episodes ago. I think but a little twist on it.
Okay.
I think it's going to get harder and harder for the weak to hide. What I mean by that is there was no YouTube. There was no, at least when I started back in early 2000s, the only conference was FDIC.
Right.
So if someone told you something, you were like, oh, well, that's obviously what it is.
That's the way it is.
That's the way
Right.
it is.
This is gospel.
This is gospel. You're not going to be able to do that anymore.
Right.
You're not going to be able to say like, hey, we don't have to train every day. Right. That's not how it's done. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
And now I have, all these examples of,
right.
Hey, this is what people are doing all over the country. Why aren't we doing it?
Right.
And those people who just want to shut the blinds and say that's not how we do it here, I think it's going to be harder and harder for them to suppress the passions of others.
Nice, dude. I love that answer because I've heard a lot of things about social media. I've heard a lot of things about the technology and internet and things like that. But the fact of you can't hide anymore because of this blinding light called everybody knows everything that's going on everywhere. Dude,
yeah, I mean, obviously there's the downside, right?
Sure,
there's a
100%.
bunch of shenanigans on YouTube.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. But
yeah, but I am global view. I'm actually stoked about it.
100%, dude. That's a badass answer, man. Max points 100% on that answer.
Yeah, finally.
Number 3, best rank or position to be in the fire service.
Whatever seat you're in. So I say that never being in another seat than what I'm in right now.
Right on.
But don't forget how many people want to be where you're at. So, like my personal opinion, it's sitting backstep with a legacy leader. That's as good as it gets for me. And if and when I ever promote, I hope that I feel like I'm in the best seat in the rig. And it'll be a shame if I get to a position where I don't feel that anymore, where I feel like, man, I really wish I would have stayed wherever.
Right.
But being backstep on a ladder company with a great crew, I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. And it's not lost on me because I know it's not going to last forever.
Dude, strong.
But you should feel like you're in the best seat.
I love it. No, and the thing is, anybody who knows me, anybody who watches the scrap knows I give max points for company officer because it's the greatest. It's the greatest position to be in. But that answer is very like that 100% because you said something in there that is, if you don't feel like you are, like whoever realizes they're the Peter principle, like I went too far. You know what I'm saying? So
that's a great way to put it.
100% max points on.
Everyone else can see it.
Yes, without a doubt. And so 100%, man. Where you're at, like enjoy it to the max, which I think, and I hate, I don't even hate. It's like, I'm bringing it up like 100% embrace where you're at and be the maximum you can be. So if you gave any other answer to that, then I would be disappointed. So max points, 100%.
Max points. That's
you might be
max points.
You might be the first person to ever get max points and not say company officer. I don't want to go on record as saying
writing it down in my journal. You already said it.
No, I don't want to shortchange anybody else who had a killer answer. Best advice you ever received.
All right. I got a couple because I thought about this.
Good.
I'd say the one that I use the most is the juice worth the squeeze, right? Is the input worth the output? And that goes for everything, right? Is the fact that, I'm annoyed by whatever. Is that going to do anything if I complain about it? Probably not. Well, I should probably forget it. Or, is it worth complaining about mandatory overtimes or I don't know, insert for X?
Right.
Is it going to do anything? Like, is the juice worth the squeeze on that? No. I mean, that's how I feel about business. That's how I feel about everything. It's just, you can use it for everything. The other one is my wife's actually. And will it matter in 6 months? Right. It might feel like the biggest thing in the world right now.
Dude, I love it.
But like, if it doesn't matter in 6 months,
it's not that big.
Probably not that big of a deal.
Right on.
I'm
gonna have to soundbite that and send it to Miss Stalowy.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
There's a couple parts in here.
Maybe she'll forgive me for the Oreo story.
No, 100%, man. I love that. The juice is worth the squeeze, man. Solid, man. It's just
it's true.
And I can't knock that. Max points for best advice ever received. And then finally, one of my favorite questions: heavy fire, searchable space. Would you rather be assigned VES or first in on the nozzle?
VES. Hands down.
Hands down
That's
over.
it.
You ride a truck.
Well, I am. And if I was on an engine, I'd probably give you a different answer.
Maybe.
But I think that VES is maybe one of the most important things we do.
Nice.
The engine company does the incredible task of cooling the space, right? But that's not what's killing people, right? It's that IDLH, nasty smoke. And if we can provide shelter from that, that's what's going to save people. So I'm not taking anything away from the engine. I think that honestly, hose work is way harder than truck work. And I think if you ask anyone who's ridden on both, they'd agree.
I'm gonna put that sound bite.
It's hose work, super snotty. You're in it. It's hot. It's heavy. It's loud. I mean, it's all the things. But where I feel like we do the most good is being able to not change the environment, but remove someone from it.
No, I like
and to me, like VES is how that's done the most effectively. I mean, you target where you think people are, and you're in a real position to truly save their life.
No.
And I think VES is like totally underutilized, really, really safe. And to me, that's where I want to be.
If you ever, yeah, dude, 100%. I can't even argue that. Anybody knows that's my answer, and you just killed it. Not just that, but the reason why, man.
They're both. You have to have both.
No, 100%, and that's why there's no wrong answer to the question. I just
right.
really want to understand which one you're going to pick and why. And dude, the passion behind it gives you max points. Dude, you killed the 5 questions for firefighters. You killed the scrap, and there it is. Officially, scrap number 105 is in the books. Is there anything I did not? That you wanted to talk about that I didn't get to?
No. I mean, just keep tabs on our social media for when we release the standard. Yeah, we're really, really excited about it. It's a monumental task, but I think a lot of people want it. And, we get emails and tech all the time. And sometimes we can't get back to everybody. Like it's really unfortunate, but sometimes things get lost in the shuffle, and our community deserves way better. Right. So I think what we're trying to do is narrow our focus and obviously still give people who appreciate what we're doing all the same value. And the people who want more, we want to be able to give them a great product. So just be on the lookout for that. Check out the Backstep, check out Mindset, fittofightfire.com if you want any of our gear. And I can't appreciate not only you asking me to be on, but what you're doing for the fire service is really changing a lot. So thanks, man.
Dude, that's one of the most humbling things ever for a Fit to Fight Fire guy to say thanks for that. So, dude, I got on your website.
I'm the third Fit to Fight Fire guy, right? Like it's Tom and John who that started the whole thing. So I'm just a professional coattail rider.
Dude, you're killing it. And that trust shirt, man. I ordered that, and I was going to rock it tonight, but unfortunately I wore it like yesterday, so it was all sweaty.
Oh, it's awesome.
I could not rock it tonight.
Well, if you like the Fit to Fight Fire shirts, just wait till the standard ones come out, because we put a lot of thought into them.
Nice.
And they're going to be butter soft and sweet logos. So
I love it. We're
stoked.
Okay, I'm checking here. I'm seeing if there's anything I left out, which I know, guys. I left out a lot of stuff. Craig completely sidetracked me. I blame him.
I
blame
him. That was the whole goal.
100%.
Mission accomplished. You get max points for
sidelining. No, 100%. A couple things I got to clear up here. I promised people the name. I did this right here. If you haven't got one, Mutts Don't Scrap. There's the hat. Mutts Don't Scrap. There he is, the dog.
Oh, I tell you that right there. That's some nice merch.
He's mean mugging. You can see him. And this is it, guys. Here's the deal. I'm pulling up. These were the suggestions. There was Razor, Mud, Scrappy, Hook, Varsity, Vigilance, Creed, Hercules, Muggsy, Carl, Phil, IGAF, Mud, and Tramp, okay? That was everything that people sent in through social media, but by far and away, there was one that was more popular than any other name, hands down, by gargantuan amounts. And here it is. This is, right here you can read this. It says, not a real certificate. The official name of the dog is Scrappy.
Scrappy the dog.
It makes too much sense. And it says right there, for mean mugging on apparel and stickers and generally being an awesome mascot for the weekly scrap. So
love it.
There it is, guys. The official certificate that says the dog is Scrappy. So
it's official. I mean,
done.
There's a certificate.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get any more official than that.
That's it, man. You get it completely. So that's it, guys. Hit the website. Get Mutts Don't Scrap merch if you want it. Coming up Sunday, I'm super excited. Jim McCormick is the finish of the 4 scraps in 9 days. These guys, like Craig, I never even said thank you for allowing me to bump you on my terrible scheduling. Like
it got me in the mix. I thought I was going to get bumped to like episode 300.
I scheduled him.
I
talked to him and I scheduled him, and then I was like, "Hey, Craig, I got to move you. It's my son's birthday, and I really screwed up." And he was like, "No problem. It's all good."
I'm easy like Sunday morning. Corley.
And the thing is, I moved you to September 8th, right? That was our original time to do this. And then I'm on duty September 9th. Okay, so for firefighters, you understand this. My daughter's birthday is September 9th. So my wife put the birthday party on September 8th. And so I had to call Craig and say, dude, listen, man, it's my daughter's birthday. I got to move you again. So that's why he's here tonight. He was the most gracious person in the world for allowing me to bump him twice. So I really do appreciate it, man. I wanted to say
it's my pleasure, brother. Anything for you. Anything for you and Scrappy, the
there
official dog.
Other than that, guys, if you see me at a conference out and about, I love the Mutts Don't Scrap pictures. So please come up and ask me and talk to me about it. Craig, I cannot wait to meet you in person. It was an unbelievably good time.
Follow us on all the stuff, right? All the shenanigans.
Hit it.
And I run East Metro Fire Rescue on Instagram, and check it all out. Reach out, and that way you'll be the first in on the openings for the standard.
Yes, dude, I cannot wait, man, because
it's gonna be awesome. We're stoked.
I'm kind of melancholy about one going away, but then I got the standard coming, so it's like,
well, if 55 Fire is going to stay exactly the way that it is, the only thing that's going to change is the name and the intro. I'm sorry that fire music's or the crackling's going away, but the new intro's dope.
Dude, I'm excited.
And if you want some more, if you want more content, if you want to be, involved in this community that we're trying to create, that's there for you.
Nice. I'm going to plan to be on.
Thanks, brother.
No, 100%, man. Thank you for being the guest at number 105. Completely crushed it. So everybody out there, Mutts Don't Scrap. I love it. And the audience, man, I know I didn't get to everything. Thank you guys. Yeah, people like Scrappy. There it is. Scrappy. Yeah, okay, quite a bit of meme.
There you go. You chose right.
So I love it. No, they chose it, honestly, man. It was hands down. There was nothing even close to the amount of votes that Scrappy got. So Scrappy is the guy. Craig, thank you for being here once again. Audience, thank you for being awesome.
Appreciate you.
I hope the tone stays silent unless it's burning. Stay safe out there.